kitty cat.
Hi.
Hi, Cara.
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm Ilya. I'm channeling Ilya.
Oh, sorry.
Just kidding. I hope he joins. Hi, Bettina.
Hi, Bettina.
We've got, oh, hi, Alexandru. Nice to see you.
Hi.
And Lori. And Milena. Brenda. Yay.
Yeah, we have 2 new people. Nice.
Woohoo.
Totally had like 2 pages of notes, and now I can't find where I put them.
That's why I highlighted in the book so I can't forget.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad we're just doing one chapter at a time, because even the first chapter is like...
Mhm.
Yeah. Totally.
It's amazing. So good. It's going to be great.
I like the black. Just
You're
saying.
making me hungry, Milena.
Sorry.
I know.
I can eat bread.
No, you just got to redo your thing, because I don't believe it.
No, it's true. Now that I'm following my diet, I feel so much better. Like I'm
Really?
not bloated at all. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So it was accurate, I feel.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Looks so
I can
delicious.
turn my camera off while I eat, Brenda.
No, it's
All right.
Is it nighttime for everybody?
11 p.m. here.
So far, if we have
Midnight.
In Europe, in Romania, it's already Saturday, so
a...
it's 7 o'clock
It's the
in
morning.
the morning. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
6 a.m. for me.
Whoa.
Nice.
6 a.m. Wow.
For the Aussies, it's in the middle of the day. So Sandra and Kat, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Bettina, where are you?
I'm in Paris.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
nice. Can we go
Well, not
visit
Paris
you?
exactly, outside of Paris.
Close enough. Well, thanks for joining the early times.
Oh yes, I got up half an hour early, had my tea, got all comfortable.
Yep. We're very much like a pajama and tea or coffee group.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I love it.
yeah, it's tough to find a time that works for every time zone on the planet, but it's kind of what we do, huh? We've got folks all over.
Oh, I'm very lucky for the monthly calls because they're at about 7 o'clock.
Ah,
So,
nice. Yeah.
PM. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm exempt from dinner. I don't have to cook it.
Nice. Yeah, 10 a.m. Pacific is usually when the monthly calls are, but at noon Pacific on Fridays is now the Second Life call. So there's lots of meetings in one day usually. But
Oh, hey, Ray.
hey, Ray.
Hey, Raymina.
You're on mute.
Emilia.
Oh, there you go.
Raymina.
Kazmina.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
There we go.
Nice.
Brenda
Cosmina
all
and
snuggled up
Ray.
in bed.
Huh? Sorry?
Brenda all snuggled up in bed.
Yeah.
Hi, Nicolette.
Hi, Nicolette.
Hi, Nicolette.
Oh, we have Simone too. Yay.
Hi, Simone.
Hi, Cherub.
Hi, Cherub.
Oh, wow.
Elena. Hi.
We have full house.
Totally.
This is so different from the calls we used to have.
I think the book makes difference.
Mm.
Hi, Hilaria.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, let's get a few minutes for folks to join. I know some join a couple minutes late or right on the dot, like a few.
Hi,
Sean,
Sandra.
Sandra, hi.
Sandra.
Hello, all.
Hi.
Hi, Elena.
I need to get comfortable.
Wow, this
You're
almost feels like a monthly call with so many people.
I know.
fabulous.
We've grown.
So, Kara, your alias is Ilya Pandya today.
Yes, I'm channeling Ilya. No, yeah, for the last book club too, just
Okay.
because of the Walk With Me Now energy lines, and we want to record this for the forum. It was just easier to use his Zoom account than to have a different account. So at least for now, we'll see if it's sustainable, especially if he joins. I might join under a guest account. So
Oh, that'd be fun.
yeah.
You guys didn't hear me all this time, right?
Oh, now we can
I
hear
was
you.
like talking and saying all sorts of stuff about pajama parties and Brenda being getting out of bed next time. I'm gonna do the same. I'm just not gonna get up and take my laptop and keep it in my bedroom. And
Yeah.
Yep. It is a pajama party.
hello, everybody.
Cherub, did you? I have to ask Cherub live. Did you ever figure out your secret Santa lady? What's going on, girl?
No.
What is going on with you, girl?
Is that crazy? I was like, okay,
Crazy.
guys, come on. This is a, what is it, April Fool's joke, and it's not April yet. Come on, you guys can tell me. This makes no sense. And you know, all this stuff that I was writing, I was literally like saying it. I remember the mud, the face plant in the mud. I just so felt that. I was just like, oh, this is crazy. This is not happening. I still don't know. And that little gift, at some point, I was like, I was threatening it. But no, unbelievable. I have guessed past members, present members.
Are you taking
members that didn't play?
Are you taking wild guesses, or are you like energetically tapping in? What's going on? What's your method?
I can't get the energy. So I tried the energy, and I was like, oh, that's where Prakash came from. I was like trying that energy.
Gosh.
Yeah. It so didn't work. I was like, okay, I'm good. And so then I did, I said, well, let's use some common sense here. Let's use deductive reasoning. So that's when you saw me like going, you know why? Because, yeah, no, that didn't work. And I'm thinking, you know, so I'm trying to use, I'm going through, I had a list, and I said, these are people are playing, and I'm crossing off the list. Okay, not that one, not that one. Like, got 11 more to go. Can I really get 11 wrong guesses? No, impossible. And then
all right, guys. All right. Hold on. I want to actually start the meeting. I know this is a big Walk With Me Now group, but
it is.
I thought you were going to reveal yourself.
No, sadly, I've already been revealed, and my secret Santa's on this call. So.
Oh, really? So so you figured it out, Kara? Because I haven't.
Oh no, I haven't figured it out. It's super embarrassing.
Oh, okay.
But
Isn't
that's
it terrible? Okay, but let's move on.
That's all right. Ego, whatever. All right, guys. So thank you everyone for showing up. This is an amazing turnout. Welcome to the second Walk With Me Now book club for ta-da!
Yay!
Interview with an
There's
Angel.
mine somewhere. Yes.
By Nelly Evans. Yay! Oh, I love it. So before we start, I wanna give a couple ground rules with other copies, a couple of logistics, and then we can jump into the discussions, which I know we're all super excited about. But as this is our first meeting, let's talk about our communication guidelines. So first of all, it's really important that everyone who shows up to this call live read the chapter ahead of time. Please do your homework. And we ask that you actively participate in the discussions too. So depending how many people we have, we'll have to see how we manage everyone's questions and responses, but it's, if you are present, then we want you to, collaborate with us to expand the discussion we're having. If you haven't prepared for the book club, we ask that you just watch the recording and, not take up screen time if we can, because we really want to keep it focused with the amazing topics we have to look at. So that's one thing. Also, too, since we do have the author on this call as well, which is an amazing privilege and an exciting just benefit of being a Walk With Me Now member.
So true.
It is really important, however, that we want to only ask questions that are relevant to the book. So we're not going to be asking questions about Anelia's personal life, especially if it's not relevant to what we're looking at. So I think we all have good etiquette here, and that's obvious, but it's important to state too. Speaking of mystical etiquette, third thing, we are not going to be channeling any angels on this call.
Why not? No.
If that's of interest, you can do that on your own time, but we're not going to be doing it here because this is a book club, not a channelers club, although that might be interesting for different reasons, but someone else can organize that on the forum if they're interested. So no channeling, but you're welcome to, be smart, be street smart if you are going to do that type of thing on your own time. All right. And lastly, we were looking at how to potentially expand the awareness of the book itself and these discussions by putting together some compositions of the calls that we might want to put publicly outside of the forum. So one thing that would be different about this book club as opposed to the other one is instead of keeping it private to Walk With Me Now, we might edit certain pieces of the recordings and put them on Anelia's public YouTube.
Oh, cool.
But to do that, we need everyone's permission to do that. So I think for just to make it easy, if anyone does not want to appear on a public YouTube, just write into chat that you do not want to appear in the YouTube and we can edit you out. So you can still show up to the book club and participate even if you don't want to be seen publicly or be in a video publicly on the web. We just need to know ahead of time. But all of these recordings, all of these sessions are going to be recorded for the forum and full length, but we might take pieces out here and there for the public YouTube, to be determined what that will look like. So I hope that sounds exciting. But at the beginning of every call, we'll just go over that quick agreement logistics so everyone feels good about it. All right. So now that the bookkeeping is done, let's jump in to chapter 1.
Okay.
Of Interview with
We're
an
all
Angel.
impressed now. We're all quiet.
There are so many topics just in this first chapter. It's kind of hilarious. We could spend
a little bit overwhelming.
It's a little overwhelming. We could spend hours just on 2 pages, but lots of fascinating topics. So given how many people we have, what I think would be helpful is, actually, I think we can still manage it. We'll see how it goes. But is there a topic that anyone wants to look at the beginning?
Are we doing the introduction as well as the first chapter, or?
Oh,
Yes.
I guess
The
so.
introduction is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, we read it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we read it. I don't think I formalized that on the forum, but we can talk about the introduction too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start, honey, by telling us how reading your introduction to me on the right. Home from the Res.
I have never been able to read this introduction without crying my eyes out. Just telling you. So even when they said, "Hey, can we do an audio copy of the first chapter introduction for releasing it?" I would reach one part and go, "That's it. I'm done." So extremely, emotional for me. Yeah, so I can't read the first introduction. I can't read the introduction. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
We were writing here, and so we wanted to review the chapter and read it again. So she started reading. It takes about 40 minutes to get here. And she got the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 paragraphs, and then her little bottom lip started coming out, and then she started breaking up a little bit, and then started crying. It's like, I can't read it anymore. And so, it's a pretty emotionally big chapter. The introduction.
Yeah.
You can tell.
It always
It's
makes me
actually-
even
The introduction is actually, well, in the ebook it is chapter 1. Chapter 1 introduction. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we covered it then.
love it.
Right, yeah.
Well, chapter 1 includes the introduction and the
got
first
it.
intro.
Yeah, that's right. Chapter 1 includes the introduction and first interview. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
The emotion really comes through the words. You can really feel the energy lines in there, because even when I was reading, I was like, oh, I could just feel it. And that's true throughout the whole book. It seems like you can really tap into the information at a ultra dimensional level. So is there anything we wanted to look at specifically in the introduction, besides it being very emotional and beautiful and overwhelming sometimes?
I guess for me it was like I would have never guessed that an angel was going to write an email, for example. It's like, that was like interesting.
Yeah, and it's explained in the first interview too about why it had to be an email, right? Because of the communication as an adult. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I just didn't expect that.
Yeah, right. But would he then actually indeed sit down behind the computer somewhere? Would he materialize the computer somewhere, or would he just tap into into the internet and construct an email and an email address, or like?
I actually know the answer to that question.
Okay.
He went to an internet cafe and paid for computer time to send it.
Wow.
Real time.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'm curious, is he like a real person with an ID, or is just a body that appear, and after his job, his interview with you, like the body just disappeared? It's like, I'm very curious to know about, can that person be tracked, like it exists, or is just a body created?
Yeah, I think that he materializes into his preferred shape as a physical body, as a human physical body, human shaped physical body, I should say. But then he dematerializes, I'm sure of it.
Okay, so he was able to create the money out of nowhere to pay that internet cafe at the time.
I didn't ask him that part. Maybe he sang a song outside and the people gave him points. I don't know.
Or glitch in the matrix or something.
Yeah,
Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah. Or maybe he uses that body a lot and he has bank account. I didn't ask.
Right.
Does he have several bodies? Because at some point he says that he appears differently to different people, and how
that's right.
Right.
Many.
The body part's explored in more depth in some future chapters, but at this point in chapter 1, it is a very physical encounter at a cafe. So for everyone in, the environment there, it's like, another person, right? Manual labor, darker skin, like light hair. So very convincing, it seems like, overall to most people that it's just another person.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean convincing? Have you seen a red-haired person with dark skin? I haven't.
It's not
I
red
have
hair.
lots.
It's
Usually I
gingery.
have lots. I lived in Ireland, so yeah.
It's been known to happen.
There's a lot of people who work manual laborers are working out in the open, and they go really dark.
They do have sun in northwestern Europe, occasionally. So a lot get really tanned and somewhat sun bleached on top of the hair. So yeah.
I wonder what the internet cafe would be like. Is it also like where all the angels hang out, and there's sort of like a ping, and Michael goes, "Gage, this one's for you," and then they also like that.
You would be surprised. I know for a fact that aliens love their preferred location to send emails and stuff and hang out are Starbucks.
Oh wow! It does say star.
They do. Whenever I go into Starbucks, I always scan because more often than not, you're going to find an alien in there.
Oh, wow.
Especially if the Starbucks is near some sort of military base. For some reason, they love to be near military bases.
Do they order lattes?
So I wouldn't be surprised at all if angels like cafe, internet cafes.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we all wanted to have that hug of 1,000 mamas and papas.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, totally.
I think everybody who's read the book had the hug.
I think so.
Oh.
I think you know what that feels like.
I think you know how that feels.
Feel it just reading it. It's like
it gives you appreciation for the enormity of the emotional bodies.
Yeah.
And how they can become overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Trying to find the specific line, but related to the body, Gabriel was saying he can be, multiple times at once, but not everywhere in space.
Yeah.
So when has his body manifested, then in that time space, he can only be in that space. It seems like.
And he didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I had a question about that too.
Sure, go ahead.
Because he said humans can be in two places at the same time. And as in Alia, I suspect the humans to be the architects of all physicality. I thought, well, that's known of matter, whatever it is, that it can be at two places at the same time too. So I thought maybe that's why, maybe physicality mirrors the innate nature of humans. Or do I make sense? Because he seemed to be surprised that we can be at two places at the same time. But like in quantum physics, it's known that matter can be in two places at the same time. So if we have created all...
So here's the thing. Are you a quantum particle?
I think all physicality is like quantum particles.
But are you one? Because the quantum part of it, you can be more places than one. It's almost like, it reminds me a little bit of the oneness thing, because you're oneness right now. You don't have to work to oneness. You are oneness right now. Otherwise, oneness wouldn't exist, right? Mm-hmm. We're all oneness. But at this level of experience, we're singular beings, and we don't have an awareness or skills set of oneness. Do you understand? Do you see that? And it feels the same with the quantum physics aspect of one atom is everywhere. You know, there's the theory that it's just one atom or one particle and one quark that just travels all over the place and creates the entire universe. So there's lots of theories around that. But yeah, the quantum thing that you can be in two places and they're connected and all these type of things. I think it's the same type of relationship of you as a person. You have a lot of atoms, but you keep them together in a certain shape, and you create certain energies and thoughts and everything and realities around you. Do you know what I'm saying there, or how the kind of thought is going through that? So for somebody, I can't remember the part that says, you know, you were in two places at once, so you could be. Do you remember which one it was?
Yeah, there's a sentence which says, humans can jump in and out of collectives and minds at will or become them. That's the part where you tap into the bird flock.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it say that?
That's it was. I think it was page 16?
I didn't write down the
Page 15 it was.
Sort of midway.
And in 16, he says, in my species, we can move through time, can access every form of time, etc. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for page 15.
It's like, it's like midway. It's sort of at the bottom. So there's a large paragraph, and then it says, when you looked at those birds, you became their collective consciousness, as well as jumping in and out of different singular selves in that collective.
It's the last 6 lines of the first paragraph on that page.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Now I'll cut the paper copy.
You can only tap in and out of there for
Yeah, one caveat is the ebook pages might be different than the printed pages.
Yeah.
It'll be how big it is. So
Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna go to consciousness. Oh, maybe the other one is actually more accurate. Let me see. Humans are very much like that. Oh, this is all about the collectives on page 15.
And then
do you mean the experience of like a double exposure in photography? That one?
No, I meant the part where you talk about the birds. And then he says they can only be in one location in one timeline, while we can be in.
Yeah, that is on page 16, I think, where he says, in my species, we move.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that on 14?
Second to last paragraph.
Okay.
On page 16.
Sorry, guys. Next time I'll write the page.
No, it's okay.
Notes.
We cannot access everywhere or all locations. Those are hard for us. We can exist in many different forms of time as well as different points of time simultaneously. Is that what you mean, Mireille?
Yes, that one.
That's on page 16.
Right.
Yet we cannot exist in different locations. Because you live in a linear time reality, you might think that time and space are intricately connected, that you cannot have one without the other, but that's not exactly accurate.
Right, yeah. So you want to get into that a little bit there, huh? So here's the thing. So time doesn't actually exist. Time is a perception and a creation, a mental kind of translation of what we are perceiving and experiencing. So when we move through time, what we actually are doing is experiencing the movement of atoms through space. So when you, for example, the simplest thing is you watch a clock and it goes click, 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 right? Or that way for you, right? Click, 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 click. You're not looking at time, you're looking at atoms moving through space. And as the atoms move through space and we perceive that movement, we call it time. And in our game here on the planet Earth, we call it linear time. So when he's saying that they can access time, it's like an experience of moving in and out of spatial movement, right? Of atoms moving through space. And they can do that. They can move into a space where there's no movement. They can accelerate it or slow it down. And they can be in different, like, witnessing kind of the different movement in different, it kind of brings back to location, but it's like for us, we can even mentally, we can even imagine ourselves now, say on the moon, right? We can imagine ourselves being on the moon right now, and part of our attention and awareness is there. And for some individuals, they can actually astral project there. You know, they can be somebody there, they can burrow into somebody there, they can even maybe bilocate if there was a place that could sustain their physical body there. The human person can do that. And angels can't really do that. They can manipulate the space movement, the atom movements, but not so much be in multiple locations at the same time. Does that explain it a little better, or did it complicate it some more?
Yeah, I think it's really complicated because, I know when you say time does not exist, yeah, I know I've heard that before, but maybe space does not exist. Maybe space is just an expression of the innate nature of human beings as they kind of express it in physicality.
Yeah, but then it exists because it's being expressed in physicality. But time is a concept. It's an idea. It's an interpretation of what we are experiencing.
But what I understood is that atoms are a concept too. They do not exist. You cannot pinpoint them like this is the atom. It doesn't. Right. So maybe that's an illusion too. Maybe it's just part of the human expression, like it's extension of our being. That physicality is just an extension of what we are, of our innate nature.
Yeah, and that's expressed a little bit further on when it says, humans may actually be creating the physical universe, maybe the creators of the physical universe.
So it just happens because we are here, but it just happens because of us. And because angels are different, they can't be in two locations.
Yeah, but that's actually entering a different discussion because now we're talking about the nature of reality.
Yeah, that's true.
And time space. Not exactly why do the angels are unable to do what we can, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what your grandmother said about he can only be there for, like, you're taking his time from other people. That's it. That he can't exist in that time for somebody else. Is that it? Or
well, yeah, that it was expressed in a way that, like, she shouldn't have said that, right? She shouldn't have said that because who decides what's more important? But yeah, the feeling of can he appear to 10 people simultaneously around the world? That's a question to ask. And what does that mean? Is he moving through time to do that, or is he moving through space? Time doesn't exist, only the movement of time, right? You see, so it's almost like are you swimming in water or are you flying through the air? That's how it feels to me, like the difference between the two.
So if angels cannot be in different spaces, then later on in the book, there's talk about angels being in human form. So once they're in human form, does that then become possible for them? Because they're now human?
They're not human though. They have human form, but they're not human because what makes a human? A physical body, elemental, and a soul.
Mm.
Right? And they're not human because they're just the physical elemental. Their expression is physical body elemental. It's not like they possessed a body and are driving the body around, right? It's like an expression of a physical body elemental.
But they can't actually incarnate as humans?
I think that they can. And then when they do that, they're actually the soul construct. So they would make themselves more subtle even than what they normally are, and then incarnate and become human, because then they have the two things.
Like, fascinating.
I
It's
know.
like he's stretching right now. It's like
I know that I've met people who where their soul were angels. I've met those people, so I know they exist. The physical body elementals were physical body elementals, human bodies. But the soul inside that body was an angel.
did it affect their body, their physical body? It must have somehow.
Yeah, they're usually overweight to contain it. Like quite heavy.
Wow.
Not always, but usually.
You would imagine that they were like all light and fairy and everything, but it's like the opposite.
Yeah, they're light and fairy, but they feel this. Not all of them, but the majority of people who I've met who are angel incarnations, especially before they own it, before they realize it fully and say, yeah, okay, fine, I am. Before that time, they become overweight. And often after that, and when they handle it and they know what's going on, usually they lose some of the weight.
Fascinating.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So they'll live out the life, they'll sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like just like you and me and everybody else, right? They come into human body, become a human because they have a physical body elemental, and the curtain of the curtain comes down and they forget who they are, and they just have a physical body elemental that is going to live a life here. Right? And now the reasons why they come in, that's fascinating. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why they come in. Just like we all have different reasons for why we come in.
That is fascinating.
Hang on, I have a question, jumping back a second. So if they can be only every when, but not everywhere, how do they reach so many humans? Like, are they slowing time down to like every single microsecond and then just visiting like thousands and thousands of people every second?
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it.
That was in the first chapter. The way the time slowed down 1 second was the entire visit or less.
But that part of the time it does affect your physical body of the people around it, because like if an angel, like when you're doing the interview and it has the time going super fast or super slow, does that affect your physicality?
No, except that the rest of the universe had like a second, and I'd had 5 hours and I was hungry.
So when that happens to us, when we get sort of stuck in time, because I get fixated on numbers, and if it's 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, and often it can stay for a really long time. Could that mean that there's an angel with us and they've slowed things down? We just haven't perceived them.
Maybe. It's a possibility. And also, don't forget that us as humans, we learn through mapping.
Yeah.
So when you read that chapter, guess what? You're developing the skills to slow and speed time up. Because we're not limited that way.
I thought that was a really interesting part in this chapter. It seems like you teed it up. I'm curious if this was your intent. One, you teed it up to create this level playing field in a way between the angels and humans, and acknowledging the potential that humans have, and then also acknowledging even like the interests that angels have with humans as well. They're fascinated, they're curious by us. Where obviously in this call, that's like the first thing we really start talking about, right? Is like we're super fascinated, interested. There's a whole book about it, right? So I wonder, was that your intent going into this chapter initially to create that, or is that how it really just transpired and that was just naturally what happened?
That's just what happened. I was just taking notes.
Yeah. Very cool.
My egotistical self decided, was like, I'm not gonna put any this stuff
put this in
It's
there.
like, yeah, waste of time, man.
That was the other question I was going to ask. Did you end up censoring it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I changed a few things because, for example, later on in the book, there's a scene where he appears in the bathroom while I'm having my shower, and I start screaming at him to get out of the bathroom. That actually happened in Rome, not in near Bay. But to add the whole thing, been traveling and all that, to add all that into the book felt too much. So, I mean, nowadays I probably would have, but at the time it was like, boom, 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 boom. It's like, it was really, I wanted to do this book really quickly without having to go into so many sub-stories,
Subplots,
subplots
Yeah.
and sub. So I put it there, but there's little edits like that, but everything else pretty much pure.
An interesting note on that is the book. It is relatively short, but oh my god, it's like
It's a lot of
so
information.
long.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very long.
It was 40 minutes to get home from to get to the Shamajak from the boat, and we weren't done with the first chapter.
We didn't finish it.
We didn't finish it. And I felt full.
We're like,
It's a
oh
lot of
my
info.
god, that was
Yeah.
like running a marathon, man.
Did anybody else have that experience?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this book club, so we can actually remember most of the information.
Expand it a little bit more, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Reading it a couple of times, taking notes feels very important.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, that point about Gabriel bringing up, like, don't censor, it feels so important to the whole broader awareness of how this book even progresses through time and space, and how you as an individual as well, because that point he said about don't be condescending or patronize or assume people are stupid enough, or they're not capable to like either
Right.
one map to you or find it interesting or it's irrelevant. It actually removed this entire limitation that impacted all this other work. And
yep.
I mean, that in of itself is like massive for the human collective. So thank you for processing your ego stuff. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I was in a bad mood. Yeah, I was in a really bad mood. Came home and threw my stuff everywhere. How dare he? I'm not patronizing.
Well, it feels like in your journey in this chapter too, you did have that process where you were like releasing those limitations you were placing on humans. And as a human reading this too, it also feels like a lot of the limitations that personally my experience I had reading it started to lift as well. So that was even just mapping to that. It was A very empowering chapter. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why Gabriel shows like masculine? A lot of angels shows like masculine, and in this case, it's only the human body or expression of human, but it's again masculine.
Because the photograph that my grandmother gave me,
yeah,
was masculine. It was that image. It was the image that he embodied.
So you could recognize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when he arrived, oh, that's Gabriel. He's just like my picture.
Yeah, it's a projection from us to the energy from outside. Okay.
Yeah.
It's clear with the time and space.
Yeah. So if she had showed me a picture of a kitty cat and said, "This is Gabriel, he's a guardian angel and or an animal guide, and he's going to come over, or she's going to come over and help you and all this and protect you," I would have called that image, right, of that entity, and it would have arrived as a kitty cat.
Yeah.
And Gabriel would have been the shape of a kitty cat.
So that would be fascinating, actually. So before the whole church thing came in and put all those pictures of how angels are supposed to look and all. So in like ancient tribal times, I'm just saying something. So they would have appeared in a completely different way. So that's like fascinating to think like how.
Yeah.
So and then for all those different peoples, they would have appeared in all different forms. They wouldn't have been as fixed like as now, maybe.
Right. And they're only fixed to us because we're of Western minds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But in other cultures, they look completely different.
Obviously, yeah. In India, with all the Indian gods and all, they will, yeah. And then they're like, but they're the same entities. Oh, that is so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he described it that way too in the chapter, that he's that they present themselves in the way that they know they're seen, reviewed by us.
Right.
Brings a different
and understood.
Right.
Oh, no,
it brings a different perspective to those I guess the story of the war that happened in heaven, right? Because you know, a lot of that was projected as being angels, like they're good angels and they're bad angels. And Gabriel's like, well, it wasn't just angels, but generally,
right.
That's how it's seen too. So if we think back about those archetypes of like many gods and goddesses in different shapes and sizes, or fallen angels, high, level angels, all of that, it's really like, what are the projections of humanity at the time, and how that story has also changed. Because I don't think I've ever heard of an Anunnaki angel, but they probably partook in that war.
Yeah.
But somehow all those, like, it makes it then immediately think like, oh yeah, we've been so programmed. It's like so stuck. Like, oh yeah, Gabriel, it's like angels. This, that. It's like so. No, it's like whatever. There's so many different shapes. There's so programmed. It's so like stuck. Those images. They're so ingrained. Those limitations.
Inelia, could you explain a bit about following the energy line? How you find it?
I suppose that's a skill. I do have a video out there on YouTube talking about how to follow an energy line, and scanning there for energy lines and stuff. So basically, you need something to concentrate on, or even if it's a name or an idea or a memory or a person or something like that. And then you really put all of your focus there. And then you allow that to travel. That's the easiest way I can explain it. And you find the person, object, or whatever. So the origin of it. That's how I look, and you can even visualize it if you're good at visualizing, like a little tunnel or a little string that you're following, you know, things like that that might help you. But it's like, oh, I'm thinking about my cat Theodora, so I know Theodora and I scan her and I start looking for her with my eyes. That's me following an energy line with my eyes, right? But then, I can't see her with my eyes, so I'm gonna feel her with my spidey senses. So I'm following her energy line because I know her frequency, right? I know her signature. So I'm looking for her, and then I may or may not find her. Depending if she's hunting, I'm not going to find her because she's making herself invisible, right? But if she's laying around or sleeping, I probably will find her.
Thank you.
I also really like the part where you explain how you like came into existence.
The what?
How you explained how you came into existence.
Oh, yeah.
The we part.
Yeah.
The second time I read the book, it was amazing to me how much information about the we was in the very first chapter, and the first time totally forgot it the next moment.
I was thinking the same, yeah.
Like, oh my god, it was all there. I read it.
But you just don't comprehend it. It just doesn't sink in. Don't even understand what words mean.
Until you talk to the we, and then you remember.
Yeah, and then you go like, oh, now I understand. That's completely different than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Right now, it seems as though in Walk With Me Now, we've had a lot of exploration of being a we and reconnecting to our collective. And this chapter talks a lot about that as well, right? And connecting to the collective. And I never really noticed or realized that connection until reading this tonight, and how you came from a we, then come into a singular, and then now here you are helping to, support us in moving into a we. Like the orchestration behind that's so cool.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Plus you explained all the steps, so and we can map to it.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Gabriel was surprised about the we, 'cause although it's in the later chapter that he talks about how their collective pretty much has been around forever, but yet the we arguably has as well, but in a different way. So it's like, I guess they came after the field of potentiality, or I guess I'm just surprised that he didn't. Well, he did say he mentioned or saw them before, but it was like a vague memory that he couldn't quite grasp. And for a collective that's literally everywhere, or most places, I don't know, everywhere, every time, I'm not sure, but that also just seemed really interesting, different, not expected.
I think that a lot of that has to do with need to know basis. So if they have no working relationship with that collective, there's no reason for them to get to know each other, right? The two collectives.
And if that collective,
he knows a lot about us because they've been working with humans since humans started, right? They've been co-creating, and not co-creating, but cohabiting and working together since the beginning. But with the we, they don't. So, I'm sure there's billions and gazillions of entities and collectives out there that the angels have no idea about, and humans have no idea about as well.
So I guess it's around mutual interest and awareness. Because if we aren't interested or interesting to the angels and vice versa, it's like, why would they ever cross paths? They wouldn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
I wonder about the part where you call on angels to give you a hand with finding a parking spot, or with reading your stories on the book and their important work. And religions teach us not to do that, or something.
Yeah.
Maybe you expand that a little bit, as
Yeah.
in what kind of angels and who do we call to ask for parking spots, or finding the good deals at Walmart, or
So that's the thing, you see. I think that what he was trying to express was his frustration at how religions had hijacked our ability and capacity to call on to angels for anything. Right? And had brainwashed them into thinking, that's God's work, and they're very busy, like my grandma said. You can't be calling him to read your books. You have to let him go and do his important work.
And what about if you're done with religions and dogmatic religions? Calling on angels is attached to thinking religion,
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a catch-22, right? They made it really clever for you to disconnect with angels at all times forever.
Yeah, that's what I meant before, where I said it's so programmed that now that's Gabriel and that's attached to that, and then it's so stuck.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should unstick it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
We have awake people looking at it right now. That's pretty powerful.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, you can be aware of it, but it's how deep does that go, no?
All the way.
All the way.
All right. All the way back to yeah.
Well, and to your point, Larry, you can call angels for helping with Walmart deals and parking spots. I think what Gabriel meant in that sentence was, but then people won't actually call them for help during a life crisis. So when they really need guidance on major issues, or they're going on a different path, then they don't call upon the angels for help. So it's the different little things, but not the big things. And so every little situation is hijacked, it seems, one way or another. Very clever.
So are we allowed to ask them for help with the little things and the big things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anytime is fine?
Yeah.
Because they have all the time there is. There is no time.
Right.
And is there anyone that's more or less particularly interested in the things that you might be interested in getting help with? Or if you ask for the wrong one, well, they're like, I can't help you with deals at Walmart. I don't even know what a Walmart is.
They'll give you the phone number of the other one. I love to shop at Walmart.
Walmart helper.
The Walmart helper, yeah.
I don't think Michael will care so much.
But about the not asking while in life crisis sort of thing, it might be a sort of culture we've been conditioned into, that we are going to be so damn self-sufficient that if we're not really handling things, we believe that we are not allowed any help, sort of.
That's a way to disempower you, because part of your responsible adult way is to be able to know when to ask for help, right?
Exactly.
And assistance.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm one of those who I'm not really into this religion thing. And I thought I was disqualified from the whole angel business. And actually, I know actually the Protestant Christianity that I've been in touch with the most, they don't properly have the concept of angels, at least not for us to call on to. And I basically ended up with a belief that, okay, angels, that's only for Catholics, and I'm certainly no Catholic, so there you go.
Yeah, they did a good job with you, didn't they?
Oh yeah. The thing is that I'm probably the most constant beings in my life for long stretches of time has been angels when I've started remembering and looking back. So yeah, think about that, you Catholics.
Think that.
Yeah.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
There was another part that got my attention related to this, and I wrote it down so I can read it. It said, people do call on us all the time when they are having a hard time. And then it said, and that's the word that I'm thinking like, huh? And if it's part of the choreography, the plans and decisions that have been taken by those individuals and their co-creators, we answer that call. And then I thought, why is that word if there? Because it feels a bit limiting, and it feels like we can always change our minds. And if I, for example, in a situation would choose like, now I want to contact an angel, and if I really feel that, then I should, right? Why is it then like only if it's part of the choreography? Or would the key be like if I'm fully 100% resonant with it, with my wish to ask for contacting an angel, that would be the only case that it would happen? Or I was wondering, like, why those
kind of reminds me
conditions?
of the other. Kind of reminds me of the other book that we read, and people's soul plans. You know, that they carry these old programs. Their soul plan is to be helpless and not have any help, and to be put in the worst possible situations and not get any help. So if they call for an angel, they're not supposed to get any help according to their soul plan, right? Because they have an old soul plan. They like old stuff. They like being left out in the cold, with flapping in the wind. That's how they get the most learning.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and in that case, the person, because they're still in that kind of a choreography, they can't change their mind because they're still stuck in that choreography. But if you and your higher self and all your entourage and everything, you told them, I have changed my mind and I'm going to this other thing, this other plan. Everybody, get the memo, okay? Then your angel's going to appear.
Yeah, it is certainly possible and doable to change your plan and your mind. I mean, actually, it seemed like, as we remember in that other book, the in between lives, they would go in and say, "Yeah, you didn't quite do what you thought you were going to do, did you? Yeah, I changed my mind.
A lot of times.
I just wanted to fuck off my life. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to, play."
Yeah.
So I think it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Change your mind.
Yeah. So it's letting go of the limitations. Letting go of those limitations that we couldn't. And
yeah, Ash, tell us about the whales.
Yeah, Ash, tell us about the whales.
Me?
That comes later in the book, though. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it happened today.
But it happened today.
Yeah, you have to tell us. Facilitator says so.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. Yes.
Well, I'll start it for us. I'll tee it up. But we had a little, I guess, chat in my kitchen today for the SL call, the Second Life call. And at the end of the call, we decided to go for a walk on the beach. As we got to the beach, I said, I've been meaning to tell you. I have to tell you. And it's Larry and Anelia and I had a dream a couple nights ago, and there were whales everywhere. And I needed to tell you guys this. Like, I don't know why we're going to tell you. I'm so excited the whales are there. Because I've lived out here for a while, and I've never seen a whale. I know they're there, but
it's impossible.
Yeah, it's like everybody else saw them. I never saw them. So
can I carry on with the story?
Then you carry on, yes.
Okay. So we were walking down the beach, and suddenly we were all like very focused on going down the beach. But suddenly I felt this beautiful smell, and I carried on walking. I thought, wait, something said, no, go back. So I went back. I actually walked backwards, and Ash was looking at me going, what's up? She didn't say what's up, but she was like looking at me. Why is she walking like staying there or walking there? And I said, gosh, it smells wonderful here. And she went, yes, it does. She said, it smells really nice. And I had to go back a little bit and then forward a little bit and stay right there. And I was looking at the ocean like really intensely, and I could feel really odd and strange, like trying to go into an altered state type thing. And I was looking at this little shiny part of the ocean, and Larry came back because I'd stopped. And I said, Larry, what is that light bit over there? What is that about? And he said, oh, that's where the tide meets the tides meet. It's called the tide, right? rip. And I was looking at it and I couldn't take my eyes off it, and I didn't know why. And then suddenly this whale comes out right into that light bulb.
Wow.
And I started screaming, and then there was whales all over the place popping up with their little splashes up and everything, and it lasted like 5 seconds and they were gone.
Wow.
Right? It was like intense. I mean, we waited for like a while, and we saw one or two more
later, but
yeah, we saw one or two more
Teensy little
later,
baby
ones, and a couple in the distance. But
There are about 20 sea lions just hanging
Yeah.
out there, flopping around.
Yeah.
Well, looking at us, going, "What are you looking at, guys?"
And then we figured out, oh my God, Michael got through to Ash the other day and her dream, and then got us out to look at the beach and told us just before this happened, and boom, there he was.
Wow.
Anyway, so we thought it was because he wanted to say hello for this meeting. So,
Oh, nice.
Hi, Michael.
Do you have anything
Yeah.
else to add to that, Ash?
No, it was just very strong and effective. Like the dream was like whales everywhere. And I was like, woke up like, I have to tell Larry and Anelia. I almost text messaged you that day, and I was like, why am I going to text him that I had a dream about whales? I did.
Random.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's nice. When you guys were at the beach, Larry like messaged in WhatsApp, oh, there are whales at the beach, and I wasn't there because I had a thing or whatever. And when I looked at that message, I felt and saw the words Michael, and I was like, oh, nice.
Wow.
And then when I heard the full story tonight from Ash, I was like, oh, it was totally Michael. Oh my gosh, so got a big support hug from him and the collectives that we're here, we're doing it. So good job, everyone. And we got a rainbow.
We did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did get a rainbow.
Gaia too. Amazing.
Well, that seems so in keeping with what I see Michael is. He's very emotional, which I tied into right away because I think that emotional body is very strong. But I did wonder, like, since the angels are not like humans, why, like, what other bodies did they have? They're not a physicality. And I thought that with a physicality, you would have the different bodies, the emotional body, the mental body, and all that. And he really did seem to be this emotional ball of energy. And I took that from when he was in tears, with when he was with Amelia at the beginning, and she looked and he looked out the window or something, because he was actually crying. It was, I guess, had
He had
something to
something
do.
in his eyes.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
I had something in my eye. And I was like, wow, really? So, I mean, that stayed with me. And I did wonder, like, do angels really have, I mean, like, how deep do they go? And so that struck me. I was just wondering.
Well, at the
and I
beginning,
don't remember if it was.
at the
Go
beginning of
ahead.
this chapter 1, because what you described is later, but in the beginning when Gabriel sat down with Anelia, same thing. He's like, oh, I've got something in my eye. He's like, yeah, we basically feel whatever you feel, it's like times 1,000, like exponent,
Yeah. It's like, is that, like, what are you? What are you made of? Like, what is there with you? What do you bring to this when you become physical? What do you bring with you? What do you, manifest? So, but it was to me, it was very warm and, heart-wrenching. It was that emotional thing. So, and yeah,
Well,
he
that
did
gives
that. Didn't he do that twice?
Yeah,
Tears?
that gives you an idea of the reach of their emotional body. If thousands upon thousands of people around the planet have bought this book, and that's the bit that they feel the most, and they feel the emotion, right? That just shows you, I don't know, maybe something else, but it feels to me like that is just a little quantum entanglement of feeling the emotional body of an angel, right? Because you can feel it even years later, and I couldn't have finished reading that chapter. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's very intense.
And one of the things about that book also, I had to take long breaks because my emotional body was shot. It's like totally blasted out of the water. Hanging out with him, remember that?
Yes, I remember.
I can see that. I mean, you were little. You were this little kid going through a lot, and I don't want to use the word savior, but there was this love energy that was able to give you the things that you were missing out on at that time, to sort of, to the point where you could say, thousands of hugs or thousands of mommies or daddies hugs or something like that. That alone was enough to bring tears of love and joy and all that, but you could feel it. And so, but I totally got you, because I felt this little kid that was in a great deal of turmoil and sadness. And there was almost no way to alleviate that, like even, yourself. So you needed help. And then here's this, I'm going to say, stranger that just comes in and says, okay, I got this. Come on. Who wouldn't be in tears? As a matter of fact, if I don't be quiet, I'm going to start crying.
But first there was the grandmother who couldn't give hugs herself, but she did give like an opening, or she did give you like a way to connect with something or somebody that could give you that.
Right. She threw her lifeline. I thought that was very cute.
Yeah, the grandmother actually offered you like a way somehow to to bring it into your reality, even though she couldn't give it to herself.
Yeah, that was something. And so that sticks. That's hard to forget, as I do so much.
Well, we are actually we're after our hour. Oh my gosh.
Are we?
Wow. I think we got through 2 pages.
Yeah, I think we got through some of chapter 1 and can't even read the intro.
Yeah, there's a lot there. There really is. He talked about the wars. I'm like, because I remember seeing stories about the wars or hearing about the wars. So humans have no clue there's this war going on. And then it's like, well, why did the angels side with us? You're not like us. Why wouldn't you mess around with the DNA too to try to get some of that stuff that we have that some people seem to want? It's all that. It's just so much. There's so much there. But we've only have an hour.
Well, she's been reading a book to expand the chapters so there's more fluff in there. Maybe it'll be easier to digest. It has a bit more fluff.
Yeah.
Oh, for future books, you mean?
Future books.
Yeah.
Future books, yeah.
Future books will have a little bit more fluff, so it gets overwhelmed. Because that chapter, I'm serious. I'm still a bit exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like
just to play with it. It just covered so much. 20 pages.
It did.
Like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That too?
Yeah.
Even in this chapter, it talks about how storytelling is like the best tool to learn how to map and disseminate information. And it's like, really get that in there too? Oh my
that
gosh.
too?
Right. It's a lot.
Yeah.
What? Everything?
Yeah.
It's also one very important part about, I just remember the humans, about something about the humans, they have this amazing capacity, like the
mapping.
But no, it was just
it was something else.
Creating?
Something else. Yes, and being the architects of physicality. I mean, it just describes so much about how capable we are. Wow.
Right.
And I didn't remember the first time. I just realized it now. Wow.
Anelia, did that mean humans on this planet, or was that just human collective in the
All
universe?
the entire, including the humans on this planet, the entire collective.
Casually, we created the universe. Good job, everyone. And then we forgot it. Yay! And then we forgot. Yay! Pretty amazing.
I have a question concerning page 15. We talk about the connection with the human collective. And you say that it's really about a connection from the heart. It's not about, you said the problem is that more people think that connecting to the human collective means buying into social, cultural, and religious programs, devotions, and teaching. Not so.
Mm-hmm.
It really is about a connection from the heart. Okay, I have a question. The question is more of a request to explain how can this connection from the heart can be established, knowing that in the human collective we have all sorts of behaviors.
Well, there's a little exercise that was for the homework to work with me now a few weeks ago. It's called the heart. Yeah, the heart center. Right? The connection one. That one. Use that one.
Yeah, I actually use it, but I just want you to know is as simple as this, or something bigger than that, or more complicated, or more complex. Like, okay.
No.
Thank you.
Inelia, do we have time for another question, or is it for next week? It's just it's a big one. Like, did I? And I'm sorry if it's in the book and I forgot it. But did he ever talk about why they've given themselves this role, or why they have this role of? Yeah, it's a big.
Yeah, it does go into it a little bit further on in the book. It's not in the first chapter, but we discussed about the whys of existence and the whys of roles and connections and stuff later on in the book. It's not really clear. It's like a discussion and a brainstorming, but it's like, even if you see yourself as one of the architects of the universe, somebody who creates realities, why? Right? So you can ask why forever and never get to the real end answer.
The angel's role that they've given themselves of looking after and helping and being so connected to us, that is, and it seems like there's so many. So what connects our species to their species? It's an agreement, but what has that always been? It's really their role. It's
not just their role with us. I mean, they talk about doing that with lots of species, right? In lots of dimensions and universes. That's what they do. They support and help and assist, and not just with the humans though.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was in the first chapter too. But it was lots of different universes and species that they do that with.
Yeah, that's in the first chapter.
Yes.
And why is they chose that role in the universe? That's one of those eternal questions, you know? Why did we decide to be explorers of the universes, or even creators of the universes, or, you know, why did we choose that? Maybe just because it feels good.
Or it's interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it's just interesting.
We talked about that in the last book club also, no? Like, why are we collectors of information, and then who are we collecting for, or where are we taking that information to, or
yeah,
that's very relevant in chapter 7, so keep that in mind. Explore. And that's the thing is, if there are really key questions that, for example, could be relevant in future chapters, it might be good to document it on the forum so we don't forget, for one. Two, we remember to bring it up. And also, as we go through each chapter, it might be expanded upon with each call as well. Because like the last book club, we kind of started with the topic maybe in like week 2, and then we really like expanded it a couple weeks later, and it went deeper and deeper. So maybe we could start to look at that here too.
Yep, no doubt.
What an awesome conversation.
Yes. Yes, and thank you everyone for showing up to the first meeting. It's so exciting.
Isn't it a nice way to start the day, Miraya?
Or end it.
Or end it, or in the middle of it.
End it, yeah.
We go through time space. So for next week, same time, we'll talk about chapter 2. And if, as a reminder, if there's anyone who doesn't want to be included in a public version of this call, and it'll be edited and stuff, but let us know. That way we can make sure not to include you. But hopefully we can edit the little bits and share it with the world. That hopefully will be even more expansive for the collective at large. So, yeah.
And a reminder, if you read the chapter early and you have questions, write them in there because you'll forget them by now.
Yeah.
So write them on the forum.
Yeah.
So it's got a placeholder.
Yeah.
And it literally just creates a page that will stay there for years to
Yeah.
come, which is also helpful. So
Very helpful.
yes. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time, and see you next week. Chapter 2.
Thank you, Kara, for hosting.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Amelia.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
I love how Sandra is like, no.
I'm giggling then as soon as everybody's waving, like,
You're like, I know you're gonna stay.
yeah, it's my inner child coming out giggling. But Kara is still recording now.
I know. I could click the big red button that says end meeting for all, but sometimes it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's nice just to hang out a little bit, but no, it's just super good. Thank you guys so much for coming. What a great turnout. And any feedback on like meeting logistics? We have a lot more people than last time. Would it be helpful, do you think, to do the raise hand thing or unmute if we have a question, or did this feel pretty smooth and organic?
Yeah.
For me, that felt really smooth.
It's
There
good.
were people who didn't want to, I guess, speak very much because of sleepiness or whatever, but I didn't feel like anybody was hogging the call and needed to have a time limit or anything. It felt organic.
Nice.
Yeah, free in that way too, that everyone can share when you want to share instead of waiting your turn.
Yeah, that was my sense too.
Yeah.
For book clubs, like the less formal we can make it, if it flows, the better.
Yeah, it's a bit different with like 20, 25 people on a call than like 50 or 100, or, you know, when Emily has like a very specific thing to share, like on the monthly calls, it's a bit different than having a discussion with multiple people to expand the topic, for example. So, yeah.
I thought it was pretty smooth, and we even got a little bit of Brenda's cat. Did you hear that? I loved
I
it.
saw that too. That was so cute.
You hear him
just like late. Oh, it's so cute. Yeah.
Brenda must have been pretty sleepy because she usually stays to chat, and
Yeah. Yeah, true. Oh, Lynn, I don't think your mic's working because we can't hear you, but I see you talking.
No. You plugged your headphones. Good morning,
It's
sunshine.
on, but it's not.
No, we can't.
I think unplug it.
Maybe try it again.
Can't hear.
No, still can't hear you. You look fabulous, by the way, for it being 7 a.m. or whatever it is. Got earrings.
You know, when I woke up, I
Still
really
can't
felt.
hear you. No, I'm sorry.
When I woke up, I
We can
really
feel
thought
you.
I lost my mind to join a book club at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
This is the most miserable time of the day.
I know.
But it's just so. I feel so much better now. It's just so fascinating. So, thanks a lot for
Of course. Thank you.
organizing.
And it didn't feel like an hour at all. It felt like 5 minutes.
Right? Yeah, it's amazing how
Did something.
quick the time is. Yes. Oh, we need to practice that like time compression thing. So our hour can be like 5 hours, maybe not 5, 2.5
That'll be a
maybe.
cool thing. Yeah, we need to ask the angels to do their magic with time so we can have more time to discuss
We can do it.
Yeah.
We got time
I wasn't
lines
really.
and on this call. and-
Is it even further in the book as well? It kind of rings a bell when I read it, that I thought, oh, I think I've read about it more, maybe later on in the book, about how he does it. Or
Yeah, there's a
it's
whole
my
scene.
imagination.
There's a whole scene where Nelly steps out of time, linear time altogether, and her
Yeah.
body like freaks out. So there are some
And the
limits.
journey.
Yeah, and the journey, yeah, into a different time space. Yeah. But even then, it's a way to like, I think it was Bettina, like she was like, even when she was describing like looking at numbers, it could be a way to maybe expand time space and like focus, or not time space, but slow down time if you're like really focused on something. Maybe an angel's helping, like who knows. But I mean, it's another thing we can map to, right? Because Anelia was doing that with Gabriel, and so, and Lena, we still can't hear you. Maybe you can type out what you want to say. I don't know.
Well, you have all been outside of linear time.
Right. The, what is it? The call?
The December call?
Yeah, it was the locking
unified field?
exercise.
The
Yes, unified field. That was it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
already back then, I was thinking like, how did she do that? You know, like I'm so interested. Like, how do you do that? You know, I play with time, for example, when I'm in a traffic jam and think like, oh, I need to make my appointment in time. Then I play with time, thinking like, okay, time slow down, and the cars fast forward in a safe way. You know, play with that, and it always works out well. You know, I always arrive in time. But this still feels different because it feels like it's like stepping out of time space somehow, and that's not what I do in a traffic jam. You know, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it might also be related to what does the physical body want, because at least in the chapter that's coming, it seemed like body elementals don't really like it when you break reality. Like if you were to just step through a portal and arrive in Bulgaria right now, or Australia, or from Australia to, you know, Washington State, it might be like, oh God, what if I can't get back? I don't have a passport. Oh, what's going on? It was night, now it's day, and you know. And there's just like agreements. But it seems more reasonable to like slow down time so you can make your appointment, or speed up time so traffic goes faster. You know, it's less like, I don't know.
Less breaking a reality.
Yeah, less disruptive. It would be cool.
But
we
we have
can
to
do it.
We have to break reality as a group, as a we. So we really have to be good in becoming a we.
Yeah, because the more...
Because in the book, it's only Inelia with Gabriel, but we are a collective. So.
And the more powerful, awake people we have looking at agreements, we can change those agreements, right? So, yeah. Let's start with expanding the calls, though. I think that's a good first step. We can talk more in less time.
Yeah.
Good idea.
But yeah, it's a great point. We're pretty unlimited. You just have to remember that.
Yeah, Larry's pretty good at explaining how he manipulates time. We should poke him to tell us more next time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll
Let's
be
put this on the forum for next time. The Time Lord Larry.
yes. Well, for the chapter, I don't remember which chapter it is, but the one where she does step out of time, with linear time completely, that'd be a great time to bring it up. Pun intended. Yes. All right, ladies. And Sean, you're still there. Or maybe he left. I don't know. I think I am going to call the meeting now officially so I can upload the video. But it was fabulous to connect with you all. Thanks for the feedback, too, about the logistics. It's really helpful.
Yeah, you really did a great job.
Thank you.
Know it.
It's part of the 2020 goal of create and connect and, you know.
You're an amazing host.
Oh, thanks. It's fabulous to have amazing us, you know, amazing, just being amazing. We're amazing. That makes it super easy, so.
Alrighty, kiddos. Have good days, good afternoons, good mornings.
You
good
too.
night.
And sleep well to you.
Yes, sleep well. And have a great day. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
See you soon.